Orasutairu, a Pokemon fanfiction by Sanin_Saiyajin. Ash is currently walking through the huge tunnel of Mt. Moon. Legend says that this huge pathway was constructed by giant onyxes that reside within this mountain. Ash had read it from one of the posters in the Cerulean Pokemon Center. Ash has been walking through this tunnel for the past 2 weeks, and according to the guidebook, he was only a few days away from reaching the other side of the mountain. Ash currently had 6 Pokemon in his rooster: Charizard, Lucario, Pikachu, Ghastly, Bulbasaur and Rhyhorn. During the past 2 weeks, Ash trained all his Pokemon when he stopped for breaks. Ash noticed that Charizard tended to overwork himself, to the extent of falling straight to the floor once his training was over. Ash decided to talk to him considering his habit. Flashback. Hey, buddy. Ash greets as he walks up to the training Charizard. His powerful flames burnt from the harsh exercise he was subjecting himself to. Charizard acknowledges his trainer by stopping his training to listen to what Ash had to say. I wanted to talk to you about something. Ash starts with a sigh and suddenly adopts a serious look. Stop pushing yourself so hard. It will hurt more than good. Ash says, but Charizard doesn't reply. Look, training yourself is good, but don't push yourself too hard. Ash says and Charizard replies. Charizard says and Ash adopts a look of understanding. He wants to help me achieve my dream. That's why he is working so hard. Ash thinks with a shocked look. Suddenly he jumps up and hugs Charizard and whispers. You don't have to try so hard, Charizard, Ash says as a small trail of tears leaked out from his eye. Charizard simply nods his head and Ash smiles. Take a break. From today, don't overwork yourself by any means, rest is as important as training. Ash says and Charizard nods his head. Good. Now come on, I made lunch for all of us. Present time. Ash then thinks back about his Lucario. Ash trained him and Lucario trained Ash in return. Both of them helped each other and Ash was more than happy with the result. Ash had learned how to use that aura shield on Will. Ash tried to use the healing aura technique he used on Dragonair, but sadly he never managed to understand the correct way to use the move. Ash was not the only one who had gotten stronger. Lucario had managed to become stronger than Ash had expected. Ash had read that normally, Lucario had to practice their aura for years to increase its capacity, but he noticed that Lucario had a very large aura pool. Ash watched a video where a fully grown Lucario runs out of aura after firing 10 to 15 aura spheres, but Lucario never had this limit. He didn't even run out of aura after firing hundreds of aura spheres at one go. Ash deduced that it had something to do with him being white. Moving on to Ash's first capture, his Pikachu can be considered Ash's most broken Pokemon. Pikachu started as a cute innocent mouse, but he proved time and again why he was Ash's third strongest Pokemon. Pikachu's electricity was so strong that he managed to one-shot most of the wild Pokemon they met so far, excluding the rock and ground Pokemon. But with such power comes a big problem: control. Ash had been training Pikachu to control his electricity so that he doesn't accidentally kill his opponents. Ash trained all his Pokemon to fight opponents with a type advantage. So far, he made great progress, but Ash, being Ash, always looked for a way to better himself and his Pokemon than they were yesterday. And as such, he continued to train himself and his Pokemon every day. Help me! A loud anguish cry came from ahead of Ash. Ash adopts a serious look and ran towards the source of the sound. After a few minutes of running, Ash noticed that a man was crying on the ground. His senses screamed at him to get the hell out of this place, but Ash, being Ash, decided to approach the man who seemed to be in trouble about something. Ash cautiously approached the man, and just when he was about to call out to him, he was trapped in a net of steel. Pikachu luckily jumped out of the way as the net approached. What is happening? Ash shouts and tries to free himself from the trap, but noticed that it was too hard for him to break. Ash tried to move his hands to get to his Pokeballs but failed. Pika Pie! Pikachu cries out in worry and runs towards Ash. We finally caught someone, but guess what? That someone is a kid. A voice groans out in an annoyed tone. Ash turns to the owner of the voice and glares at him. The man wore a Team Rocket suit and had a black scarf wrapped around his head. Get me out of this, Ash grumbles as he wriggles to free himself from the net. Pika Pie! Pikachu threatens with a sparkling cheek. Hoo hoo! We got a lively one this time. The man crying on the floor says as he stands up from his position. Team Rocket. Ash frowns at them helplessly. What do you want from me? Ash questioned and noticed the grunts smirking. We just want your Pokemon. Don't worry. We'll let you go once we get your Pokemon. You know what? You can keep the Pikachu with you. The grunts laughed at Ash. Ash helplessly questions. Do you have your team in this place? Ash questions with a scared look and the two nods their head. We do. We even have an admin with us. The grunts tell him with a smirk. That's all I wanted to hear, Ash smirked and then says. Charizard, come on out. Ash commands and Charizard, who has been waiting to come out since Ash was trapped, came out from his Pokeball with a menacing look on his face. Pikachu, take care of these grunts. Charizard, release me from this trap. Ash commands and Pikachu runs off to fight the grunts while Charizard prepares his claws for a metal claw. I didn't mean it that way. Ash says with a sweat drop. Charizard doesn't listen to Ash and simply cuts the net into pieces. Ash then analyzes his body to make sure that he was not missing any part of it. Ash sighs when he didn't find anything amiss in his body and mockingly glares at Charizard. Don't do something like this ever again. Ash groans and Charizard smirks at him. Ash looks over his shoulder and finds Pikachu resting on top of the two grunts. Their Pokemon were also scattered around the place with swirly eyes. Good job, Pika. Ash praised with a thumbs up, making Pikachu smile and run up to his shoulder. You guys heard what the grunts said, right? There's an admin in this place, we have to find them and capture them. Ash says and his Pokemon nod their heads at him. Good. Now let's head on, follow me, let the aura guide us. Ash says and heads out to the location where he felt a large amount of aura coming out. It was different from the one he felt earlier. The earlier aura was dark and menacing, but this one felt warm and welcoming. But there was one thing that alarmed Ash. He noticed that the aura was slowly depleting every second. I'll call you out if any fight occurs, Ash recalls Charizard while promising to release him later. Ash takes a deep breath and sprints towards the source of the aura. Here goes nothing, Ash thinks with a determined look. Ash ran towards the source of the powerful aura at a constant pace. When he felt the aura getting closer, Ash slowed down and walked towards it with bated breath. He then suddenly felt a shift in his aura but quickly dismissed it. Ash shook his head to clear his aura and tried sensing the source again. He raised an eyebrow in confusion and released a small burst of his aura to clear his senses. Pikachu. I was certainly sure that we reached the source of the aura. Ash said as he looked at Pikachu seriously. Pika. Pika Pie. Pikachu nods his head while muttering a few words. Why do I feel so far away from the source? And why? Ash starts and glances behind himself and frowns. Why are we standing at the entrance of the cave? Pika Pika Pie Pika Pikachu. Pikachu says and Ash frowns. Is it a psychic like Sabrina? Ash questions and squinched eyes are in a deep frown. That's a possibility. Let's head back to that place, Ash says and starts running at full speed towards the source of the aura again. Extreme speed, Ash commands as he released Lucario from his Pokeball. Ash then hops onto Lucario's back and runs towards the source of the aura. You understand the situation, Lu? Ash questions and Lucario nods his head. The aura told me everything, he replies and Ash nods his head. Lucario must have heard everything from his Pokeball. Use your aura to protect us from any psychic barriers that are placed around the area. Ash commands and Lucario nods his head professionally. Okay, Master. Ash then rode Lucario through the whole cave. During the ride, Ash had to admit one thing, Lucario was very fast, but if had to choose between using Lucario as a source of transport or his legs, Ash will choose to walk himself any day. Riding Lucario on his back was very uncomfortable. Ash released Ghastly from his Pokeball just to make sure that they aren't assaulted suddenly. He quickly explained to Ghastly whatever was happening and Ghastly promised to help Ash. Master, I don't feel any psychic waves from up ahead, Lucario informed Ash, making him frown. I am certain that it was a psychic attack that teleported us to the entrance of the gate. Ash frowns. I don't feel any psychic energy from the surrounding areas, Lucario says, making Ash frown. Is it the same thing that Giovanni used that day? Ash questions himself with a frown. Whatever it is, I don't have a good feeling about this. We're here, Lucario says, dropping Ash to the ground. Thanks, Lucario. Ash says, standing in the same position as where he teleported a few minutes ago. He hears a strange sound and quickly runs to a nearby boulder to hide. His Pokémon silently follow him. All of you, quickly start preparing for the transportation. A woman who looked to be in her early 30s commanded some rocket grunts, making them nod their heads. Boss's Pokémon is strong, but even it has its limits, so we can't rely on it to teleport us all. The woman's loud voice rang in Ash's ears, making him frown. What Pokémon is she talking about? Ash thinks with a worried frown. I can sense about 50 grunts in this place, and that woman looks like their leader. Ash analyzed with a frown. The situation did not look good. Ghastly, hide in my shadow, Ash says, making him nod. Ghastly slowly sank into Ash's shadow and completely disappeared from view. Guys, here's the plan. Ash called over to Pikachu and Lucario and explained his plans. Do we need to inform the dragon about the plan? Lucario questions, but a tilt in Ash's necklace explained that Charizard heard the conversation. I would have felt much better if Dragonite and Vaporeon were with us, Ash says, making Lucario nod his head. No time to regret. Clear your head and let the aura guide your way. Lucario says, making Ash nod his head with a small smile. Let's get on with the show, Ash said with a smirk and ran towards the next rock, swiftly avoiding being noticed by the guards. He saw Pikachu and Lucario go their own way and took a deep breath to calm his nerve. Let me get a clear picture of what is happening in this place. Ash thinks and does a quick scan and frowns. He sensed a large block of glowing rock in the middle of the clearing and several grunts around it. They were trying to remove the rock from the place, making Ash frown. What is that rock? Ash thinks with a frown and continues to look around. He saw a large number of Pokémon being trapped in a cage. I have to free these Pokémons before I do anything. Ash thinks and runs towards the cage, carefully avoiding any rockets he came across. He ran towards the cage, avoiding all the grunts as best as he could. The door of the cage is under full view of the grunts. I can't open it without drawing attention. Ash frowns and sighs. Lucario suddenly appeared in front of Ash in a crouched position. Master, I searched the whole area, there's no captive except the Pokémon. There are no guards around this place, I believe that they have some other kind of guard. Lucario explained, and Ash nods his head with a concentrated look. That explains the teleportation, Ash says. Yes, to some extent, Lucario says, still unsure. Suddenly the whole place gets pitch dark, making Ash smirk. Pikachu succeeded. Ash says and activates his aura sight. Lucario, be fast. Knock out as many as you can. Ash commands and starts running towards the nearest grunt and knocks him out with a chop on its back. Ghastly, make sure they don't wake up before tomorrow. Ash mumbles softly and hears a soft chuckle. You intrigue me every day, young Ketchum. Ghastly thinks with a small chuckle as he finished what Ash started. Hey, what's happening? A grunt shouted and switched on his torchlight, only for it to burst in his hand, making him edge back in shock and pain. Pikachu happened. The effect was immediate. Grunts fell one after another, and whenever they tried to light the place, Pikachu would burst the source with his electric shocks. Everything was going fine. The rockets didn't have Pokémon that can light up the place, because they kept only poison-type Pokémon on with them. They had already taken down about 10 grunts when they started releasing the cubists from their balls. Capture anyone without the Team Rocket uniform. The grunts commanded their Pokémons. Damn, these Zubats will be troublesome. Ash thinks with a frown and releases Charizard from his Pokéball. It came with a disadvantage. Charizard's tail fire lit up the place to some extent, and since he was standing close to him, Ash was under full view. The only advantage Ash had with him in this situation was, it was Charizard. Charizard came out of his Pokéball with a loud booming roar as he glared at all the rocket grunts scattered around the place. He eyed the nearest Zubat and fired a weak ember at it, knocking it unconscious. Hey, Charizard, handle the grunts for a while. I have to unlock this cage. Ash informs and Charizard nods his head. The grunts realized that attacking the Charizard with their Zubats and Golbats will be useless, so instead, they chose to attack Ash, who was busy unlocking the cage. Attack that kid. The grunts pointed at Ash and their Pokémons got to work. Charizard, realizing their plan, decided to play on the defensive instead of attacking them head-on. He started countering the various attacks with his attack, outmaneuvering them and sometimes even getting an attack or two on the Zubat lines. While Charizard was busy defending his trainer, Ash was struggling with opening the cage. Damn, why is this thing so hard to open? Ash thought as he smashed the lock repeatedly with a rock. On the other corner, Pikachu was knocking Pokémons one after another, shocking them and sometimes smacking them with his iron tail. The whole place was a mess. Between Pikachu's electricity and Lucario's aura sphere, no Pokémon stood a chance. Moreover, with Charizard around, no attack got through to Ash. This was not a battle, it was a one-sided massacre, and no one stood a chance. Intel. Crobat, Steel Wing. The woman from before ordered as a giant bat-like bird came out of its Pokeball and went straight to attack Ash. Charizard looked at the attack and roared as he fired his flamethrower at the attack. The Crobat showed its acrobatic skills and dodged the attack gracefully before heading towards Ash. Stay away! Ghastly shouted as he suddenly materialized from Ash's shadow and fired a nightshade at Crobat. The Crobat, surprised by the sudden attack, met the attack head-on and was shot away towards its trainer. You idiots! Put on the night vision goggles, fools! The woman shouted and all the grunts seemed to realize it and quickly put on their goggles. The night vision revealed the position of Pikachu and Lucario and they started attacking them. Ash gritted his teeth with a frown. There goes their advantage. Ash decided to abandon the cage for some time and decided to focus on the grunts. Kill them! The woman commanded and all of them started attacking Ash and his Pokémon relentlessly, but the grunts and the woman underestimated Ash and his Pokémon. Despite their disadvantage in number, Ash's Pokémon outflanked the horde of enemies, tearing them apart one after another. Pikachu used a quick attack to smash the Pokémon one after another and shocked the flying Pokémon that were too far from him. Lucario used a combination of Aura Sphere and extreme speed to breeze through his enemies with ease. And regarding Charizard, he simply stood in his place and blew away any Pokémon that approached him with his flamethrower. The woman watched the scene with a scowl. She spat on the floor and walked away with a frown. She kept walking till she reached a clearing and sighed. Those vermins interrupted my operation. She thought with blood-struck eyes and punched a wall close to her. She was currently standing at the peak of Mount Moon as she looked at the wide mountain range. These low-life scums should all die. I'll kill them. She screamed her lungs out and punched the ground. What got you so riled up? Ash questioned as he came walking to the clearing. How did you get here? The woman asked with a scowl and Ash simply smirked. I walked, I guess. Ash shrugged and sighed. Nice view, he said as he looked around. You do know that I can kill you right here, right? The woman questioned, making Ash chuckle. You can try, but let me tell you something, you're too weak to lay even a finger on me. The woman frowned as Ash said that and raised all her Pokeballs to her face and threw them toward Ash. Kill this beat, the woman shouted, making Ash frown. Suddenly, Ash's figure distorted to reveal Ghastly. Woman, know this, you can never beat my trainer, you don't possess the same level of authority that he possesses. Leave this place now if you value your life. Ghastly said as he vanished from his spot. The woman's eyes became even more blood-struck and she yelled at the top of her lungs. I will kill that brat. She groaned and started walking towards the place she came from. Her name is Quinn, no last name. She was the lowest ranked admin under Giovanni. All her life, she has been bullied by children of her age, which made her develop a sense of resentment over anything that made her feel unprotected. After Giovanni recruited her, the first thing she did was kill her bullies and everyone related to them. Once she came into power, she started to use everything she can to make the lives of people around her miserable. A true psychopath, the only thing that can define her. She believed that everything was under her and no one could defy her. When that boy interrupted her operation, she felt her blood boil and her instinct told her to kill him. The fact that Ghastly mocked her fueled her anger. I will kill that kid. Quinn adopted an evil look and ran towards the battlefield to find Ash tying down all the grunts. Weak. Quinn spat at the grunts who looked at her with fear in their eyes. After I am done with the boy, I'll kill you all. The woman said with a tone that promised pain, lots of it. Woman, you still have time to surrender. Ash proposed with a bored look. Ha! You dream. The woman shouted and released all her Pokémons at Ash. Her first Pokémon was the Crobat from before, her second Pokémon was an Arbok and a Weezing. Ash looked at the Pokémons and smirked. How weak. Pikachu, Lucario, Charizard. To the battlefront. Ash commanded and his aces walked up in front of him. Pikachu had sparks in his cheeks, Lucario had an aura sphere ready and Charizard roared shaking the ground around him. Crobat, Supersonic. Arbok, Poison Sting. And Wheezing, Poison Smoke. Quinn shouted her commands. Lucario Protect, Pikachu Thunderbolt, Charizard blow the gas away. Ash commanded back and bit his tongue. The Pokémons fired their respective attacks. Lucario used his Protect to block the Poison Sting while Pikachu fired a Thunderbolt which broke through the Supersonic and would have hit Crobat if he hadn't dodged. Damn, commanding 3 Pokémons at once is harder than I expected. Ash thinks and sighs. Let's see what I can do. Ash makes up his mind and prepares himself for his battle. Pikachu quick attack at Arbok. Ash commanded, and Pikachu started running towards the enemies at full speed. Charizard, wing attack at Crobat and Wheezing and Lucario U2, extreme speed at Arbok. After Ash completed his sentence, all his Pokémon rushed at the Pokémon. Arbok dodged Pikachu's attack but was hit by Lucario's extreme speed knocking it backwards. Charizard's attack missed Crobat but hit Wheezing, making it groan in pain. Change opponents, Pikachu Thunderbolt Crobat. Lucario Aura Sphere the Wheezing. Charizard Flamethrower at Wheezing. The combined attack of both Lucario and Charizard hit Wheezing, knocking it out. Quinn just watched the scene with wide eyes and a shocked look. I can't even keep up with them, she thought as she looked at the battle. Ash's commands and the response of his Pokémon were so fast and flawless that Quinn didn't have the time to react. Quinn looked with fear as she eyed an angry Giovanni. Please forgive me, Lord Giovanni, she cried as she bowed down towards Giovanni. Kill her. Feed her to the prisoners. Giovanni commanded, and some soldiers came to drag her away. Giovanni looked around at his grunts, who were all tied by ropes. Free them, kill only half of them so that the rest knows what it is like to fail a mission. Giovanni growled out towards his left and a group of people came with guns and shot half the people to death while the rest watched with fearful eyes. Giovanni looked around him and sighed. Take away the Pokémons of the dead and train them before handing them out to the new recruits. Ash looked around him and frowned. Wah, he started but felt his stomach drop. This psychic energy. Ash growled out as he dropped to his feet. You intrigue me to no ends, was the last thing Ash heard before he and his Pokémons fell to the ground unconscious. Ash woke up with a groan and started looking around him with a shocked look. Team Rocket, Ash exclaimed and jumped to his feet. Where are they? Ash looked around but found nothing. He saw all his Pokémons lying on the floor and ran up to them. Charizard, Pikachu, Lucario, Ghastly. Wake up, guys. Ash called out trying to wake up his Pokémon. All his Pokémon slowly woke up from their sleep and looked at Ash with a confused look. Guys, do you remember what happened? Ash questioned and his Pokémon adopted shocked looks before bolting up on their feet. Where is Team Rocket? Lucario questioned and Ash gave him a serious look. I don't know. We were battling that woman and suddenly, all of them vanished from the area without a trace. Even the captured Pokémon and the huge rock are gone. Ash grumbled out with a frown. I believe that it is the work of some psychic force. Ghastly offered with a grin. I am inclined to agree that the otherworldly is right. Lucario supported Ghastly with a nod. Charizard and Pikachu looked at Ash and he frowned. I guess it's the work of the same psychic force that teleported Giovanni in the past, Ash said and Pikachu nodded his head. Pika. I suspect that Team Rocket had a legendary Pokémon on their side, Ash said and his Pokémon nodded with serious looks on their faces. Legendary Pokémons were no joke, even the weakest of those Pokémons can bring storms and destroy mountains without even trying. If it was the work of a legendary Pokémon, everything that happened in that place could be explained. If Team Rocket has a legendary on their side, it could spell a lot of trouble, Ash admitted and his Pokémons nodded their heads. For now, let's just head on to the pewter. I am sure all of you are tired of the repeated fights, Ash said but his Pokémon simply gave him the equivalent of a Pokémon smirk. Oh right, all of you are too cool to be tired. Ash grinned and his Pokémon nodded their heads with proud looks. Let's head towards Pewter City, Ash exclaimed and his team nodded their heads before allowing Ash to recall them. I'll stay out for a while, Lucario said and Ash nodded his head with a smile. Sure. Dash. Ash finally walked out of MT. Moon with Lucario next to him and Pikachu on his shoulder. You know Lucario, I have a bad feeling about all this. I feel like I am forgetting something. Ash says and Lucario nods his head. I am confident that you're just worrying in vain, your body and mind are exhausted from the repeated activities. Perhaps you should take a rest for some time. Bring out the others, I will train them while you rest yourself. Don't worry about food either, I'll take care of everything. Lucario proposed with a neutral tone. That's great. But I don't want to be a BU, Ash started but Lucario knocked him out with a chop. Take rest master, Lucario said and placed Ash on the grassy field beside a tree. He released all of Ash's Pokémon and instructed the new captures to train while he gathered the rest to discuss everything that happened. Poke speech on. You witnessed what happened in the cave. Lucario started and all of them nodded their heads. What did you feel before fainting? Lucario questioned and Charizard said, something very strong. Beyond my comprehension. But I felt it only for an instant, the next thing I knew, Ash was walking us up. Pikachu and Ghastly shared similar stories and Lucario nodded his head. He looked at Charizard who growled. Ash woke us up. Do you understand what that means? Anything could have attacked us in our sleep and killed us without us knowing. In that moment of weakness, we let our trainer down. If we can't protect ourselves from a mere psychic attack, legendary or not, how can we protect our trainer? Lucario completed Charizard's statement. Let's train so hard that we'll become the strongest and protect Ash no matter what. Pikachu offered with his outstretched palm. Ghastly looked at the gesture and sighed, I might as well train harder if it means survival. He created an imagery arm and kept it above Pikachu's paw. Lucario simply smirked and followed Pikachu's example and placed his hand above Ghastly's. Charizard, who was too cool for this childish action, roared his agreement towards the sky. His roar had one message. Nobody can hurt my partner as long as I am alive. And so, with new vigor, the four of them started training harder than ever before. Unknown to them, a figure watched the urn interact with an amused look before vanishing into thin air. Ash Ketchum. That name sounds familiar. Giovanni mused as he eyed a humanoid creature to his right. Keep a close eye on them. I want to know everything he does. Do not miss any detail. Giovanni commanded and the creature nodded its head. Interesting, very interesting, Giovanni said before chuckling, which turned into a horrific evil laughter. Giovanni, you've served your purpose. I am leaving, the creature suddenly blurted out before jumping away from the place, destroying the roof in the process. Giovanni looked at his destroyed roof in shock, which turned into anger as he roared to the sky. Mewtwo, come back to me. You'll pay for it. You intrigue me. Ketchum, the creature said as he was suddenly standing next to Ash with an outstretched hand pointed towards him. Who? Lucario started as he and his teammates rushed towards the creature to protect their trainer from the strange creature.